right, I can't seem to get any of my screencasting to work, so here we are, doing an old school. Hi, this is Miss Cooper, doing your city temperatures and cosine curve. So the objective is to find the equation that fits, and it's going to be looking at the San Antonio, Texas, and what are the temperatures for each city periodically? Why are temperatures for any city periodic? Because we have a natural flow, right? We have seasons. We have spring and summer.
Attention students, it is 2:30. It is time to leave the building. If you are in contact with the coach or a teacher, that is fine. But if you're not, it is time to head out. Thanks.
So important that we get that message, and everyone immediately leaves, so it's totally worth it. Okay, so looking right here, I don't have the ability to show you at both at one time, so here we are. We're just going to plot these points. So it says if 1 is at 61.6, we'll just say about right here. Number 2 is 66.3. 3 is 70. You can obviously fast forward through this if you can figure it out. I'm just doing abouts. I'm not going to sweat it because you're not going to sweat it. 91. 7 is 94. 8 is 94. Okay, so about the same. All right, so all I'm doing is going. So I've done 7, 8, and now I'm at 9. I'm at 89.3-ish. 81-ish. 1170-ish. And 64, sure. Interesting. And if we went, it would continue on. So what should the period of this temperature function, what should be the period of this function and why? So at this point, the period is where it starts to repeat. So even though it's not back at the exact same number, we know that the end of the year would be 12, and then it would start again, right? Because this is January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. This would be January again, so that period would be 12. Using the maximum and the min temperatures from this table, what is the amplitude? So we have to find the highest. So I'm gonna look over here, and it looks like my highest is 94.9. And then my lowest is 61.7, and for sure forgot to grab a calculator before I started. And so we're gonna just do this by hand. It says divide by 2. It's fine. We can do this. You would probably use a calculator. 6, 12, 2.6, 16.6 is gonna be my amplitude because we take the high. The equation is high minus the low, and then divide by 2. Develop formulas for finding the amplitude using and the vertical shift. Okay, so 16.6 is my amplitude. So for me to find the midline, or the vertical shift K, I would take the high number and I would subtract that. So that'd be 3, gonna have to borrow. 78.3 is going to then be my midline. Let's see what 78.3 would look like. Yep, about the middle. Sounds good. So how do we write this equation? Well, first of all, cosine, let's just talk about cosine typically, nope, that's sine. Psych, that's sine. Cosine typically looks like this, up, down, up. As you can see though, this is down, up, down. So we know it's negative. So y would equal a negative because it's a reflection. My amplitude, which we calculated to be 16.6 cosine. We're not shifting left or right. We're not gonna worry about that. Oh, gotta do the period. 2 pi, so if the period was 12, then in my cycle, it's gonna be 2 pi over 12, which I can reduce and say pi over 6. So this is gonna be right here, pi over 6, x And then we said that this was my midline is 78.3, 78.3. That is the equation that we're looking for. Now graph your equation on the scatter plot. Sure. Good. Okay. Use your equation in the calculator to predict dates. No thanks. Okay, cool. Sounds fun. On the next page is the Ferris wheel, and it's just like trying to get you to think through it. What I would like you to do right now is to pause and try and see if you can do it. Then I'll do it. Thanks for pausing and trying. This says that your Ferris wheel is 60 meters in diameter. This is different from our last one. We had a radius, but this time it says that its overall diameter, this whole thing is 60, meaning 30 on top, 30 on bottom. But it doesn't scrape the bottom. Let's see, it rotates once every 4 minutes, so that's my period. And it says the center is 40 meters off the ground. Well, if that's 30, right? So if this is 30 and the whole thing's 40, that means that my height here is 10. So what does it say here? Use the axis, sketch a graph to show at the height of the passenger with ready time. Assume that the wheel starts rotating when the passenger is at the bottom. So if they're starting at the bottom, I'm gonna start at 10. Here's what I know though, is every 4 minutes, it's going to start over. So at 4 minutes, it would also be at 10. Halfway, I would be at my height, which is, so if that's, sorry, the total was 60 right here, but I want to know the full height. So 10 plus 30 is 40, plus another 30 puts this height at 70. So halfway at 2, I'm going to be at 70. So this is the cosine. Oop, that is not pretty. That's okay. Let's go ahead and see if we can find the midline. So once again, if I have 70 minus 10, that's 60 divided by 2 is 30. Hey, guess what? That's the radius. We said that's the diameter. The radius, we said, is always the amplitude. Haha, y equals, unfortunately, negative, because it's upside down, 30 cosine. It's going to end at 4, so 2 pi over 4 can be reduced to pi over 2, so this is pi over 2x. And then we got to find this midline. If it's 30, if I went 70 minus 30, you could see that I was at 40. That's the midline. Or 10 plus 30 is also 40. So plus 40. This is what we're looking for. What you looking for? We got what you looking for. Okay, friends, this time I want you to really pause and try. For real. Pause it and try it. Okay, let's see how you did. This time the 50 in diameter. So if that's 50, then I know that the top half's 25, bottom half's 25. This time it rotates every 3 minutes. It has 30 off the ground, so that makes this 5. Again, we're going to assume the wheel is when it's at the bottom, so we're going to start at 5. At 3 minutes, it's going to be at 5. So at 1.5 would be its peak. So total 55. 55. Oop, that was out too, sorry. Psych. Okay. How are you doing so far? I hope you're doing great. Okay, let's talk about it. We have 55 minus 5 cut in half. 25. Guess what? That's the radius. The amplitude is the radius. It's starting down, so negative 25 cosine. It ends at 3, so this is going to be 2 pi over 3. I can't reduce that. And we're looking for this midline. So if I had 55 and I took away 25, that would be at 30 plus 30, which makes sense because that's the midline. Okay, I hope you have a good day. Go ahead and get on Canvas and do the missing work that you have.